Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
We need a scapegoat. Always. We want somebody to blame. And that blame starts with the guy that's the quarterback and the guy that's the coach and the guy that's the GM. That's the President of the United States. Here's the reality of it. His numbers are plummeting. Plummeting in the places that you don't want it to plummet, right? You expect you're not going to have great numbers with the other side. But when the independents who put you in an office decide, you know what, I've had enough. I've seen it. You can say what you want about the last guy. Yeah, he was crappy at the coronavirus. But at the end of the day, our economies felt smooth. We had super low unemployment. Even though there was this hiccup in the coronavirus, look, both of them were handed something that is a grenade. And that was the coronavirus. Right? I don't blame him, and I didn't blame Trump for it. The way Trump handled it, I thought at times he made it way too political, as did the left. It became a giant cluster. The way that he has handled stuff is an absolute joke. 41% of the public approve of Biden's handling of the presidency compared to 52% who disapprove. Biden's negative 11-point net rating compared with a positive 3 points in July. So think about that. But the independents is where he is getting crushed. Why does it matter? Because every time there's an election, midterms, right? Even certain special elections, what is on the ballot? It's usually the presidency in some way, shape, or form. Whether you can't stand Trump and this person supports Trump, or this person reminds you way too much of the likes of Joe Biden and the fact that everything seems to be going to hell in a handbasket, and that's the way people perceive it. Let me tell you, I paid $3.50 for gas. This time last year was like $2.20. Is there a lot that he can do? No. Not really. Not at this point. Even the stuff and the moves he's making will not affect anything for several years. But the reality is people are feeling it, and they're looking around going, you, dude, you, bro, you are the person in charge of all this. You're going to return things to normal. You're going to give everybody this great opportunity to get back to just living our lives. And we're still in this flux of never-ending. Now, a majority of people feel like we are going to be heading into a recession, or we may already be there. That does not help your presidency.
In California now, the average price of regular unleaded is $4.39 a gallon and rising. In many areas are more expensive than that. Filling up a 15-gallon tank in California costs almost $70 or more. But the average price nationwide is now $3.38 a gallon, up 6 cents in just the past week.
Those extreme prices in places like California, Nevada, and Hawaii, there is not a single state in the United States that has an average below $3 a gallon. So just one more indication how difficult this is going to be on consumers as we head towards that holiday season.
Difficult to say the least. People are feeling it. They're feeling it. Inflation is here, and it feels like stagnation. Feels like we're going nowhere. Well, you know what? About 3 weeks ago, we were golfing, and there had been some rain, but the ground looked dry. We drove over to get one of our balls because I was playing 2 balls, and I was just, I'm out there, and I'm like, I crushed one, but I was like, yeah, the other one's in the fairway. This one's a little off to the right because they were getting ready to reseed, and it was just a hard ground and like a hard pan. Go over there. Our car got stuck, our little golf cart. We had to have somebody come. You wouldn't have known. And the guy's like, oh, it's been happening all the time. We need to put something around this because it looks dry, but it's actually not. And that just spun the wheels. That's what our economy feels like right now. That's what our economy feels like. We're spinning the wheels. Spinning the wheels. People aren't getting anything that they're looking for when it comes to answers right now from this president or this entire administration. I want him to succeed, but I'm not an idiot. Hiding as he did to win the election, or better yet, hiding as he did and watching Trump talk his way in and out of everything and blow up. This right here is a disaster.
They're willing to do almost anything, I think. So I think you're going to see legislation passed. But the real problem is the legislation is not popular with the American people, and it doesn't address the concerns people have. They're concerned about inflation. They're concerned about empty shelves, and this legislation makes things worse, not better. They're spending money in the wrong ways. And instead of dealing with something like the emergence of China as a global competitor, we're going to be giving out 2 years of free pre-K. This is not the answer to the problems America faces right now.
Yeah. People are asking other questions at this point in time. People are asking other questions. They're not asking about climate change at this point in time. They're worried about paying the bills, keeping the lights on, not having to make a choice about, do I pay this bill or that bill? Because all of a sudden, my price of heating everything, my price of feeding everybody, my price of going from point A to point B is all rising. At the end of the day, it's the economy, stupid.
Our Democratic colleagues and President Biden are behind closed doors dreaming up creative new ways to grab literally historic amounts of the American people's money. Remember, the same socialist spending plans that Democrats claim cost $0 somehow also need staggering new tax hikes to pay for them. So even with significant inflation, runaway gas prices, and runaway energy costs, Washington Democrats have spent months dreaming up new cash grabs with the IRS.
Yeah. Mitch McConnell. Oh, hi, Chad. Look at these numbers. If you're Biden, I don't. This is what you're doing.
You know, when you're president, see all these people here? They're with you all the time. They get to ask you all kinds of questions, and you try to figure out how you can avoid answering them sometimes.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Know the little expression, time is money. As one computer said, if you're on the train and they say Portal Bridge, you know you better make other plans.
Say what? Exactly. The numbers right now, they don't lie. Tell me you feel like things are rocking and rolling. And for some people, you know what? Hey, for certain entrepreneurs, and a good majority of people who are entrepreneurs understand that when there's a bit of a crisis, there is money to be made. But for the average person, they're looking at this and they're starting to feel like we're moving in a much different direction. 50% of people now approve of the way he is handling COVID. 45% disapprove. 41% of the public approve of his performance compared to 52% who disapprove. And number one, tied with COVID right now, is inflation. They're feeling it. People are feeling it. The frustration settling in. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. Yes, I do, man. We got so much stuff to get to today, and we're going to try to cram it all in. By the way, I'm wearing my the World Series starts tonight. I'm wearing my Caucasian shirt, which is a spoof of, remember the Indians, the Cleveland Indians? Well, I have it. It just says Caucasian. It's got a blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy. It's kind of hilarious. People always laugh at that. I laugh at it. I have no problem. It makes me smile a little bit. We got a ton of stuff to get to, and yes, including the battle of the vaccine and how do we get to a point where we feel like we can be adults ourselves and,
So I had a prescription for ivermectin to pick up. I have a licensed doctor that prescribed that to me.
You will not fill ivermectin for COVID.
That's against the law.
No, actually it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. You have no right to get in between a patient and a doctor. You're not a doctor. You're a pharmacist.
Ivermectin is not authorized for COVID.
It's FDA approved, sir.
Not for COVID.
It doesn't have to be. It's off-label product. Do you know what that means?
I do know what that means.
Okay, so then you should know better. Yes.
You need to research it.
Yeah. Wait, you're not going to approve this because you feel that you don't want to approve this? What if I'm worried about getting river blindness because I was in, I don't know, South America in the jungle or somewhere like that? This is the battle. Politics with anything don't mix. I think we know that. Oh, man, we got so much to get to, including Chappelle. Chappelle yesterday released about a 5-minute kind of want to cancel me? Let me tell you what's been going on in my life thing. And once again, I love the fact that he's completely defiant in the way that he's approaching this. And he was also funny and honest, which, as we know in this day and age, you got to be careful, kids. You got to be careful because honesty does not pay. Remember when you were a kid, it's like, most important thing is to be honest. You're like, no, it's not. Not anymore. Be honest in a situation where political correctness is involved and you may get canceled. And you look and you said, I was honest. What did it get me? It got me kicked in the grundle. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Check out Getter, Gettr as well. At Chad Benson Show there. Car Shield gives you 24/7 roadside assistance. A rental car for free while your car's in the shop. By the way, you choose that shop. They get them paid directly. And Car Shield's administrators will handle everything from top to bottom. You pay really a few bucks a day. They got plans to fit everybody. And it's for covered repairs. Because that check engine light comes on, you got a few bucks in the bank, things are getting more expensive. You're like, oh my God, what am I going to take out a loan just to fix my car? That's where Car Shield comes in. Car Shield there is the, oh my God, but take a deep breath. I got Car Shield. It's helped me. It's helped my family. It'll help you. And I'm telling you, their administrators are great. They get on everything. And imagine having to fix a transmission in today's world. It'd be nice to know that somebody's there for you. You pay a small deductible and you're on your way. Car Shields, cars go farther for a reason. You will be impressed. Over 1 million drivers have trusted Car Shield, America's #1 auto protection company. Save 10% right now. Go to carshield.com/Benson. carshield.com/Benson to save yourself 10%. A deductible may apply. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, where we reach across the aisle and occasionally poke someone in the eye.
Yesterday, the dump happened, as they call it, some Facebook dump. Today, I think you've got, I want to say it's YouTube, maybe Snapchat, and a few others are going to be on Capitol Hill. But this giant, swath of information data dump that took place yesterday. And, of course, Zuckerberg reacted, as he does.
Mark Zuckerberg came out swinging on this call. He sounded pretty upset and disturbed and frustrated by these media reports in addition to these leaked internal documents. He even went as far as to say that this is part of a coordinated effort to paint a false picture of the company. Really harsh words about these documents that have come out.
Yeah, and look, some of it, they're refuting claims that they participated in, or had some sort of participation, if you will, in what took place on January 6th and a lot of different things. It's. You know what? Why wasn't this a bigger story yesterday? And I was talking to my uncle last night because he and I, again, we have a business together, and we sit down and talk politics and a lot because he loves it. And he works all day in Nerdland, and I'm kind of like the one voice he hears where we have a conversation when he's not doing stuff in Nerdland. That's what we joke about. And the big reason is because Zuckerberg is kind of who we thought he is, right? He's kind of who we thought. He's this weird, it's so weird now because he's always on a Zoom thing. And there was a movie several years ago, Matthew McConaughey, Jodie Foster. It was called Contact. In the movie, there was this really weird billionaire who builds all the stuff. And nobody can find him ever. And he's always in situations where he's on like a TV screen or something. That's kind of what he is. He's this weird cat. And he's built an empire. And it's massive. And he can't control it. It's too big. It's too big. It is. It's way too big at this point in time to control it. He's trying to figure out, how do I pivot from other things? And the other thing is, he's about business. Early on, they used to close their meetings with, it's about company over countries or company over country. Right now, Snapchat, spring of 2021, fall 2001, teenagers, 35% are on Snapchat. 30% are on TikTok. Same amount. Instagram, down a bit, which they own, for 24% to 22%. Discord, I don't know what that is, 5%. Facebook, 2% of teenagers are on Facebook. Twitter, 2%. Pinterest, 2%. Reddit, 1%. This is an adult thing at this point in time. Kids aren't there, right? The minute the parents arrive, kids are fleeing. The minute parents really get an understanding of Snapchat, the kids are going to flee. I'm surprised TikTok's not bigger, but parents jumped on that earlier as well. It's not a bigger story because he's kind of who we thought he was at this point in time. And he could blame everybody else, and he could talk about all the craziness.
Mark Zuckerberg said that the company has tried to stem hate speech. It is fighting misinformation. It's devoting resources toward that. You know, this is a conversation he says is much more about regulation. It's about social values. It shouldn't just be about the company, that Facebook is really being targeted here, he says. And Mark Zuckerberg has repeated this call for regulators to try to provide some clarity on topics like hate speech online. He says it's not Facebook's job to try to make these rules. At this point, that clarity is not there yet.
And by the way, you know who loves regulations? Massive corporations, because they can afford regulations, and the more regulations, the better. And the reason is simple. It stifles competition. The more you can put regulations in, the more they're able to handle it. Remember Glass-Steagall and all this, here comes after 2008 and the disaster. What happened? Bailed out the banks. Then, once they got healthy, all the smaller banks and financial institutions couldn't afford all the regulation they put in. So those big banks who got in trouble got gobbled up. They love regulation. So when you see them pushing regulation, understand it's good for business in a weird way. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Last couple weeks, the controversy that is gobbling up a lot of time, quite frankly, but I think it's something that needs to be talked about, is the Dave Chappelle controversy. You're saying, Chad, why do we want to talk about something like that? I'm going to tell you why right now. Sit back, relax, take a deep breath. Because it's about speech. That's it. Period, case closed. It's about speech. It's about being able to say something. And I'm not talking about being absolute a-hole, a Richard. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, in many cases, what somebody says that somebody else perceives to be hate. And based on their perception of something and the ever-changing rules in the world that we live in, you can be, in many cases, punished for that. That's the reality of this world now. And I've seen it. I think everybody's seen it. People say, there's no such thing as cancel culture. Tell that to somebody who liked to tweet. I remember I was working at a radio station in Palm Springs it's almost been a decade. It's crazy. And my friend, Marisol, she liked something that somebody said that had nothing to do about politics, all to do about the fact that at a Monday night football event, because I worked in the afternoon at a show out there, and then I did the morning show at like a classic hit station, and we'd have to do like a Monday night football thing or Thursday night football. So she liked something that somebody said about that they felt like the service at this place, because they were Raider fans, and she worked for the station. And she was the tech that would go out and set everything up. She felt like that, the people wrote this that we didn't feel like we were treated very nice, and it was really weird. And, she liked it because she knew the people and she liked it. She almost got fired. This is several years ago. And you're like, oh. And you're like, this is insane. This is ridiculous. She didn't say it. She's friends with these people. The owner saw it and then threatened the company, hey, you better watch out, or else scenario. Dave Chappelle did his thing. Many people who are bitching about it never saw it. They wanted him canceled. So he released about 5 minutes of, here's what I think about it, and also blank you.
It's been said in the press that I was invited to speak to the transgender employees at Netflix, and I refuse. That is not true. If they had invited me, I would have accepted it, although I am confused about what we are speaking about. I said what I said, and boy, I heard what you said. Even though the media frames this that it's me versus that community, do not blame the LGBTQ community for any of this shit. This has nothing to do with them. It's about corporate interests and what I can say and what I cannot say.
Boom. That's right. It's about corporate interest. Because corporations now are more terrified about what people are tweeting. The minuscule amount of people that are tweeting. We just showed you, and we just talked about the fact that teenagers, only like 2% of teenagers are on Twitter. That's a relatively small number. Well, why does it matter? Because teenagers are the next generation, right? They've gone to other things. They're on TikTok. They're on all kinds of stuff. But Twitter, for whatever reason, a small amount of people can influence. So he hit back. And I love the fact that he did. He's got a movie that he did. It's a documentary. They had a big thing. I think the closer came out on like Friday, and then the following Thursday at the Hollywood Bowl, the controversy was starting to hit, of which I don't think there should be any controversy, but, according to, the powers that be in the media and everybody else, if you're not woke enough and you're not on the right side of something, you're an evil, bad, moralistically, or a horrible person. But he had a big sold-out performance that included many stars that were there to watch this movie.
I made a whole documentary called 846, dealt with the murder of George Floyd. The film that I made was invited to every film festival in the United States, and some of those invitations I accepted. This controversy came out about the closer. They began disinviting me from these film festivals. And now, today, not a film company, not a movie studio, not a film festival, nobody will touch this film. Thank God for Ted Sarandos at Netflix. He's the only one that didn't cancel me yet.
Love it. And that's true. And by the way, watching the way the media, but Ted did admit he did things wrong. Like, you're trying to get Ted still to cancel as if to say Ted made a big mistake. He didn't. He didn't make his big mistake would have been giving in, and he didn't.
To the transgender community, I am more than willing to give you an audience, but you will not summon me. I am not bending to anybody's demands. And if you want to meet with me, I'd be more than willing to, but I have some conditions. First of all, you cannot come if you have not watched my special from beginning to end. You must come to a place of my choosing and a time of my choosing. And thirdly, you must admit that Hannah Gadsby is not funny.
We'll talk about that in a second. But I thought that was brilliant. The last one, if you don't know who Hannah Gadsby is, she is, and I'm not saying that to be rude. I'm like, I don't even know anymore. Is she non-binary? Is they non-binary? I don't know what the verbiage. That's where we are now.
And you can judge for yourself, but you cannot have this conversation and exclude my voice from it. That is only fair. You have to answer the question, am I canceled or not?
Yeah. So, the Hannah Gadsby thing pissed people off. That's the thing that pissed people off yesterday. So many people never saw this, but they're complaining about it because they read something. It's the same thing. Both sides do something like this, right? Like Fox brings something up, and did you hear? Did you see? Did you hear and see? Did you hear and see something? And then you haven't read the whole thing. You have no idea what any of it is. Because you didn't hear it and see it. You're going on the 8 seconds or 10-second clip or whatever. On the other side, people have seen it. Most people, by the way, I have friends who are LGBT. And they're like, I like Chappelle. He's funny. I didn't find it awful. Most people didn't watch it till the end. But then he hit with Hannah Gadsby. So Hannah Gadsby, it's one of those things where, you know, everybody tells you got to watch. This is the funniest. I've seen Hannah Gadsby. If that's funny, I don't know what anybody else in comedy's doing. This is what somebody just wrote about Hannah Gadsby. Hannah Gadsby makes shows that aren't necessarily about being funny. Well, that makes you an awful comic then. Is 10 times funnier than present-day Chappelle anyways. Not even close. How about this? You pick an arena anywhere. Right? So let's just say we're going to pick an arena. How about here? Right? State Farm. Or we'll play the Gila Bend Arena. That's where the Phoenix Coyotes play. Staples Center. You get Hannah Gadsby. You tell me how many tickets are sold. I'll take Dave Chappelle. This is the kind of stuff that goes on. You're telling me about all these things that are funny. You're telling me why speech is important and why it's important that he stands up is because more and more people are deciding what you should and shouldn't be able to see and how you should and shouldn't be able to laugh and what you should and shouldn't be able to say based on somebody else's feelings. Just because you're a trans person doesn't mean you're special. Just because you are a anything doesn't mean you're a human being. You are. That's it. I'm going to treat you with respect, period. And I'm going to treat you like I would treat everybody else. And in this case, I would look somebody who is trans and say, you're being a Richard. Stop it. Get over it. Move on with your life. As I would say to anybody else who's cisgender, at some point in time, you just go, it isn't worth it. It isn't. It's important because the powers that be would like to make sure that you follow in certain ways what everybody else wants you to follow based on what they feel is morally the way that you should act. And that certain groups are off limits on anything. No discussion, no talking. You're not a group. You're a person. That's it. We should be able to have a conversation about that if you want to have a conversation about that. But I'm going to treat you as I would treat everybody else. Are there people out there that are awful towards people? Yes. And they're Richards too, when I tell them to their face. Absolutely. 100%. But somehow we have now gotten to a point where certain groups are elevated to the status of don't talk about them, don't have a question about them, don't mention them unless it is in glowing terms. Or else. And the or else scares me. Because somebody's always looking to get somebody nowadays. Everybody's looking for the gotcha moment. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from you. Final NFL picks. Finished all right. 9-13. Saints got a win last night. We got our horror countdown. We're at number 4 today. We'll give you 6 through 5 and then tell you who number 4 is. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's Twitter. Tweet, text, love hearing from every single one of you. Check out Getter.com. Raycon, best earbuds around. Love my Raycons. Sometimes I just need peace and quiet, and Raycons can help me with that. I'm serious. Don't feel them in my ears. There's no stems. There's no wires. And the noise isolating fit because of the soft gel tips, and you get 6 of the different sizes to fit perfectly. But the thing about Raycons is now they got these 3 modes that are incredible. Offers you more control. That's what I love. I love more control. And it's specific, whether you're listening to podcasts, right? Reggae, EDM, rock, whatever it is. You got the pure mode, balance mode, and bass mode. 8 hours of playtime, 32 hours of battery life, built-in mic that's incredible, and this incredible case that will give you 4 full charges before you have to plug it back in. And they start at half the price of other premium audio brands. You will love these. They also come with a 45-day happiness guarantee. Get your Raycons right here. Chad Benson Show listeners, 15% off right now. They start under $70. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Save an extra 15% right now on your Raycons. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Irreverent? Yeah. So what? It's the Chad Benson Show.
You know, people were texting me yesterday. Say one person just hit me on direct message. Said, "Hey, did you talk about the parallels between what took place on the Bonanza set? That's what they call it out there in New Mexico with Alec Baldwin. You know, and the movie he was shooting was called Rust, and what took place with the likes of Brandon Lee." And I said, yes, a bit. I mean, obviously there was a gun and somebody died. More and more's coming out. Apparently the assistant director had already been in trouble on another set. And the assistant director is the person that takes the gun, makes sure it's supposed to be completely, as they would say, cold, right? Nothing in there is hot. Nothing is live. Nothing is real. And I'm seeing people now that were union people that were saying kind of what we've been saying is, look, you can skimp on some things, and some people do. There's a reason that they film a ton in Georgia and up in Canada and in places like New Mexico. They get out of California, the expense, they're getting tax breaks. Also, they can find some cheaper workers. But there's some places you do not skimp, and that is one of them. And it cost a person their life. And another person was injured, and it's horrible. It is horrible. This seems to be almost a truly live round where Brandon Lee, it was fragments of one of the bullets was inside of the barrel. And when they fired the other one, the compression and the power and the energy pushed those fragments out. And that's what ended up striking him. This seems to be just potentially a live bullet. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. I do it every single Halloween. I count down your top 10 scariest movies. Conjuring 10, American Werewolf in London 9, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 8, Amityville Horror 7, Sinister 6, Friday the 13th, number 5, 4.
Welcome to Chad's Halloween countdown of the best horror movies of all time. You've already heard 10 through 6. Now it's time to hear the rest. Shall we begin? Number 4, The Exorcist.
Somewhere between science and superstition, there is another world. The world of darkness. Nobody expected it, and nothing could stop it.
There are no experts. You probably know as much about possession as most priests. Look, your daughter doesn't say she's a demon. She says she's the devil himself.
I'm telling you that thing upstairs isn't my daughter. Now, I want you to tell me that you know for a fact that there's nothing wrong with my daughter except in her mind. You tell me you know for a fact that an exorcism wouldn't do any good. You tell me that! Please!
The Exorcist.
Man, creepy as it gets. The Exorcist, a blockbuster movie, to say the least. William Peter Blatty's book was huge. I mean, when you think about this, what kind of movie this was in 73, and it has a special place in my heart in a weird way because it was the first horror movie I ever saw, and I wasn't supposed to see it. I was at a drive-in, and it was a double feature, and it was a movie that had been out about a year or two earlier, but it was playing on the screen behind us, and I watched it. $12 million budget, $441 million it brought in. It is based on an actual exorcism of a young boy. Roland Doe was his name, that took place in both Maryland and St. Louis over several months. Creepy, to say the least. But The Exorcist, number 4, Chad's creepiest horror movies. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet and text said programs to Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The numbers don't lie, right? Numbers don't lie. Democrats are still with the president. Republicans were probably never going to be with the president, just like if it was reversed. But those independents, those are the ones, people like me who are independent in thinking, people like me who judge each and every race based on the person and the merit, try to see through the BS. Right now, Biden, you gotta, we can't give you a G, but F feels about right. Supposed to return things to normal. Still going at each other's throats. Part of that's on you. The vaccine mandates and the fighting that's going on there, again, both sides have a part to play in it. Can you fix the supply chain issues? No. Could you do some stuff to help out? Oh, I think you could, but you're not. You know, one of the issues with the supply chain is people are talking about, hey, we got to get more people that can get stuff off the boats. We got to get more of those containers to different places. And I don't mean the full ones. I mean the empty ones. Little things you would think both California and Biden would figure out in some way, shape, or form. You're not going to fix everything. And if you think the government is going to save you and fix all of your problems, you are fooling yourself. All that being said, he's not helping himself out too much. And the numbers, again, not great. He is crashing among independents. He barely has a 50-50 when it comes to handling of the COVID. And right now, this is what's crazy. Under the economy, 54% disapprove. Ooh, that's not good. His negative 11-point net rating compared to positive 3 points in July. Oh. And the independents, well, they're running away from him big time. That crash has been huge. And here's something else. There's now a plurality. 47% of the public believe that there will be a recession within the next year, up 13% from when the question was asked in 2019. People are feeling it. They're feeling it everywhere. In particular, their checkbook. Every time they go to the gas station, they're feeling it.
Our Democratic colleagues and President Biden are behind closed doors dreaming up creative new ways to grab literally historic amounts of the American people's money. Remember, the same socialist spending plans that Democrats claim cost $0 somehow also need staggering new tax hikes to pay for them. So even with significant inflation, runaway gas prices, and runaway energy costs, Washington Democrats have spent months dreaming up new cash grabs for the IRS.
Yeah. And by the way, if you think it's going to, because you hear this all the time, right? Like this is what you hear all of the time when it comes to all the stuff they're going to hand out.
Given half a chance, the American people have never, ever, ever let their country down. So let's get this done. Let's move. Folks, what are we doing? What in God's name are we doing? And by the way, you hear these numbers, 3.5 trillion or 1.75 trillion? We pay for it all. It doesn't increase the deficit 1 single cent. So let's get to work.
And what if it does? Where's the repercussion? Well, that's what voting is about. It's amazing. So wait a minute. We're going to spend all of this money and it doesn't cost us anything? Well, it doesn't cost you anything yet. But it will cost others, potentially. You really want to fix the problem when it comes to taxes? Take away the code. Give a flat tax to everybody. A VAT, whatever you want to do. Well, then it's going to disproportionately hurt other people. But you want money, right? I mean, that's your goal, is to get money, fix the tax code. Take out all the quote-unquote loopholes. Take out all of those things that you think that, which, by the way, you and many others on both sides help craft, along with a lot of these people, think that hurts everybody else because they're not paying their fair share. Do that. I heard somebody the other day said, well, you know what we should do? We should take away, so if you lose money, you shouldn't be able to write that off. I go, really? You want to take away the chance to have a carryover to the next year on investments and things of that nature? They're like, yeah. I'm like, so what do you think people are going to do? Do you think they're going to invest? Well, I don't know. Exactly. You're not going to do it. You're going to bitch about it. So much easier. Right now, though, the polls aren't lying. You've got a less than 2 weeks to the governor's race in Virginia. Youngkin and McAuliffe. People are looking at that big time. Could this be the first crack in the Build Back Better, I'm going to make everything normal? It's a possibility. The fact that it's even close, I think, is surprising. But next year, if things are this way and we're in a recession, what do you think is going to happen next November? The Democrats are going to get their asses handed to them, which normally, during a midterm, you kind of see something like that. But you don't pass an infrastructure bill that has real infrastructure in it. You want this reconciliation bill that you think is going to be fabulous. But now you've chopped it down to virtually nothing, and you've been helped by things like the 4-year colleges. Chop down some of this stuff. Oh, get rid of that 2-year free college crap. Get that stuff away. That's our competition. So at the end of the day, what do you think you're going to get? I'm just curious. You get none of this stuff through. You still have COVID running rampant. And oh, by the way, inflation, which we haven't even brought up. But this is the one that people see every day.
In California now, the average price of regular unleaded is $4.39 a gallon and rising. And many areas are more expensive than that. Filling up a 15-gallon tank in California costs almost $70 or more. But the average price nationwide is now $3.38 a gallon, up 6 cents in just the past week.
Those extreme prices in places like California, Nevada, and Hawaii, there is not a single state in the United States that has an average below $3 a gallon. So just one more indication how difficult this is going to be on consumers as we head towards that holiday season.
Yeah. So I filled up today. Last week, I paid, it started at $3.09 or $3.19. I paid $3.49 today in the space of like 5 days. 5 days. Yeah. That right there is insane. If I'm a Republican and it's like this 6 months, a year from now, that is the only billboard I need to run. Regardless of whether or not he is singularly responsible for this, because he's not. Remember, reality and truth at this point in time, none of those things matter at all. What matters is the sense of reality. And I see $229 a year ago and $349 now. I'm looking at the person over there saying, you know what? You took this thing over. You wanted to be the guy. You're now the guy. I can't blame the other guy. He ain't here. You're going to get the blame. And the rest of you, too. That's what we do. Are there things he can do to alleviate some of this? A little bit. At the end of the day, though, as the economy goes, so goes many things when it comes to our politics. Inflation is now tied with coronavirus for the number one thing people are worried about. They are seeing stagnation, and they're feeling in their hearts right now, I don't think we're going to be in a position where we're going to see this thing explode and all of a sudden, right, they're going to take the governor off of it and we're going to shoot out, and this is going to, I don't think so. I think this is going to be stagnation and potentially a recession, higher energy prices, a broken supply chain, fighting over vaccines. That is not a winning recipe. We are not back to the quote-unquote normal at all. And you're fighting within your party because one side of your party wants to spend like, well, it's never going to be their money, and they get to. And the other side of your party saying, oh, hold on, do we really need to spend this much? Do we need an entitlement society? Yeah.
Commentary from my colleagues across the aisle claiming that Build Back Better plan, reconciliation, infrastructure, social infrastructure, etc., is some big socialist conspiracy. And I just want to address that very quickly because the idea of a current package where we are debating means testing, modest investments, minimize climate action as socialist is an insult to both socialists specifically and the general public's intelligence generally.
By the way, love general public. I'll say that, great band. AOC there. It's a hot mess. Turd sandwich, whatever you want to call it. This is your sandwich. This is your mess. People are looking for you to fix it. Government can't fix everything. Everybody's got a bit to play in this in some way, shape, or form. But the reality is we always want somebody to blame. Trump was the easy one over the last several years because people thought he was an awful person. He was a Richard, etc., etc., etc. The media hated him. The left hated him. People inside of his own party couldn't stand him at times. So he was easy. The reality is it's much more complicated than that. And right now, Biden, this mess is yours. I want you to get out of it because I don't want our country to struggle. But this turd sandwich is being served with a side of Biden. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program Rough Greens, ruffgreens.com/Chad. Free indeed for you. You cover the cost of shipping. So Rough Greens is amazing. It's got vitamins, minerals, probiotics, all this incredible stuff. It is a supplement like you would give to yourself, except for dogs. Sprinkle on top of your dog's food. Don't change your dog's food. Just take a little bit of this based on the size of your dog, sprinkle it on top of your dog's food, and then watch what happens. Energy. If they got joint pain, you watch. Very little joint pain from my older dog, Doodle, and he was the one that we started this on. Our puppies love it. They love the taste and the energy, their fur, all of this stuff. It is incredible. Try it now before you buy it with Rough Greens. You will not be disappointed. ruffgreens.com/Chad. Try it. You cover the cost of shipping. They're going to send you out a bag for free. Or call 833-MyDog77, 833-MyDog77. Rough Greens makes any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
get over it. It's time to forge a new path with your very own political cartographer, Chad.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? Let us talk about what's trending on the interwebs. U.S. government unveils new international travel policy. Trending on Twitter. Dave Chappelle addressing the closer controversy, of which I didn't think there was any controversy, made controversial by people who mostly never saw it and then felt that they were in some way, shape, or form destroyed by it. Jim Caviezel, Passion of the Christ star, recites Mel Gibson's famous battle cry in the movie of Battleheart during a speech at a QAnon convention. How do they have a QAnon convention? I thought it was supposed to be secret. Does it? That's not very secretive. Is it really a convention for QAnon? Hannah Gadsby's trending, thanks to Dave Chappelle. If you don't know who Hannah Gadsby is, not alone. She's a comic that is intentionally not funny, but also way funnier than Dave Chappelle, according to people close to other people who don't have a sense of humor. Head over to Google. Tesla, $1 trillion. That's their valuation now. Yeah, nor'easter trending because there's going to be a nor'easter in the tri-state area. You've also got Hannah Gadsby trending. Oh, no. Yeah. The Weather Channel is trending because it's that time of the year when you get bombs, cyclones, and nor'easters. People are very, very excited. The Strawberry Pop-Tarts lawsuit. Are there enough strawberries in Kellogg's Strawberry Pop-Tart? Is trending. Boise Mall shooting yesterday. 2 dead, 4 injured. And I'm like, and this sounds horrible, but the comic in me, and also the person who's honest, says, you went to a mall and there was nobody there. It's just, I'm like, they still have malls? Well, it's Boise, so they're a few years behind. And John Wayne Gacy is trending because apparently newly ID Gacy victim has been found. You guys know who John Wayne Gacy is. You remember you saw the pictures of him as a clown, and he was a notorious serial killer in the 70s. Francis Wayne Alexander's family in North Carolina didn't think much of it, but they said they saw Alexander had cut off communications with them and said he wanted to be left alone. 40 years later, the man they knew as Wayne was victim number 5 in the city. That's right. He was a victim to John Wayne Gacy. It's sad, but man, he was just awful. What a horrible human being John Wayne Gacy was, and what he did, how he did it. His family's even saying 45 years later, our beloved Wayne, now at least we know the fate, and we can lay you to rest and know what happened. But another victim. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet and text. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
We're all hypocritical in some way, shape, or form. If you don't think that, you're lying to yourself. Hell, every one of us is wearing something that was probably made in China. Every one of us has something. But can I just give a shout out to Enes Kanter? He's an NBA player for the Celtics. And he had a free Taiwan shoes made. I think might have been opening night. And the minute they saw him on the floor with that, the plug was pulled in China. Look, people are trying to navigate China. China wants to be in everybody else's markets, but if they could, they would allow nobody in their markets unless they absolutely had to. Until the communist government and the business that funds the communist government figure out a way to steal whatever it is that you came up with. That's not very nice, Chad. Stop telling the truth. But he's not back down at all. And I love that. But we're all hypocritical, right? I mean, we are. I mean, it's every one of us. It's like we've got something that's made somewhere where if we really knew how it was made, we'd be like, ugh. And this started, I go back to, I want to say the 90s with Regis and Kathy Lee. And you remember her clothes when manufactured, I think, in China in sweatshops, and people threw a huge fit about that. Right? I mean, just a massive fit. This is a different day. And it's funny because, again, it goes back to if you say something here that people don't like, they want to cancel you, or they want to do something to your show, or somebody wants to get you fired, and we scream of this land of free speech and blah, 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 blah. And then, you got the wokeness of all of these companies, and at the same time, they kowtow to the likes of China, because at the end of the day, you're not bending to China, you're bending to the almighty buck. Absolutely. 100%. You're bending to the dollar bill. And this has nothing to do with the Chinese people. So when you start shooting me text and tweets, stop it. But Enes Kanter has been strong on this, and I love this. Mesut Ozil, a soccer player he was at Arsenal in England, and now I think he plays for a team in Turkey called Fenerbahce. He has been the same thing when it comes to the Uyghurs and several other things, and to the point where Arsenal, and remember, all of these teams are trying to break in to the marketplace. All of these teams are trying to get into this marketplace because it's a $1 marketplace, and they don't want to be left out. But for some, there is, the reality of they don't buy the crap. They don't want the crap when it comes to these big corporations, saying one thing here in America, but living a totally different life.
Dear Nike, your company says that you are making a positive impact in our communities. Yes, you are. Here in the United States, Nike stands with the Black Lives Matter. Nike stands with the Latino community, stands with the LGBTQ community. And Nike remains vocal about injustice here in America. But when it comes to China, Nike remains silent. You do not say a word about the oppression of minorities in China. You are scared to speak up. Who makes your shoes in China? Do you even know?
Yeah. Well, because what Enes needs to and everybody else does, is it's about pandering, right? It's that whole 8 people on the internet pissed off at the world. And so we've got to pander to these people and take you off or cancel you. Do you remember when Fast and Furious, what are we on, the 78th one or whatever it was, the last one? And John Cena said, hey, we're going to open this up in an amazing country of Taiwan or whatever it was. And China, he had to come out and do this mea culpa about they don't exist. It's Chinese Taipei. Please. It's the almighty dollar is what they're worshiping. But because of that, people are willing to, look, for lack of a better term, willing to whore themselves out. Everybody has in the past. Let's not pretend. We've not stayed at a place longer than we wanted to, but the money was too good. So we're all hypocrites. That's the reality of it. We're all, at some point in time, we have. The problem is I'm not going to be moralistically judgmental about whether or not you wear Nike shoes. The shoes I'm wearing now cost me virtually nothing. I got them on Amazon. It didn't say where they were made from, but I can guarantee you probably a 4-year-old was stitching it up.
There are so many forced labor factories in China, modern-day slavery. Millions of Uyghurs are currently detained, sold, and assigned to work at forced labor camps, prisons, and factories across the country. with long working hours and poor living conditions, subject to political re-education. They have no freedom of expression, no freedom of religion. Did you know that almost the entire apparel and footwear industry is tainted by Uyghur forced labor?
Yeah. By the way, my shoes cost virtually nothing. Again, I don't know what they were made because it doesn't say on there. And the box came and it wasn't even a box. They were in like some plastic. I don't know. I'm assuming they were made in some factory somewhere. That's it. I mean, you're wearing those beautiful diamonds. Those are conflict-free diamonds. Sure they are. Hey, to get to a place where you have conflict-free diamonds, somebody had to have conflict.
Nike claims that they do not allow any forced labor in their supply chains. Yet, they have not publicly committed to cutting ties with the Chinese government's labor transfer scheme. Don't forget, every time you put those shoes on your feet or you put that t-shirt on your back, there are so many tears and so much oppression and so much blood behind it all. Nike likes to say, just do it. Well, what are you doing about the slave labor that makes your shoes? That slave labor that makes you rich?
They can't hear you because they're not paying attention because they're too busy counting all their money and at the same time getting ready to tell everybody else how they should live their lives. And that's the frustration I see with people. Like, I don't care how you live your life. Zero problems. I just, I'm not going to sit here and morally stand judgment on anybody. I couldn't do that. And that's the thing that frustrates people. The whole Chappelle thing. And if you guys haven't heard, Chappelle did like a mea culpa. Like this. He came out and he was pissed and angry. And I have to be honest, you watch it. He seemed a little tipsy as well as he's sitting there on stage doing his thing. But he addressed the whole issue with Netflix, right? And I love this part about the being canceled because he's got this movie and that he wants to come out and now nobody will touch him because the powers that be who are pushing the buttons on Twitter and elsewhere are scaring people off.
It's been said in the press that I was invited to speak to the transgender employees at Netflix, and I refuse. That is not true. If they had invited me, I would have accepted it, although I am confused about what we are speaking about. I said what I said, and boy, I heard what you said. Even though the media frames this that it's me versus that community. Do not blame the LGBTQ community for any of this shit. This has nothing to do with them. It's about corporate interests and what I can say and what I cannot say.
Boom. That's it. Then that sums it up. Nike wants to tell you Black Lives Matter. Here they do. But the people that make all the stuff, their lives don't matter. Again, we're all hypocrites. All of us, in some way, shape, or form. I mean, everybody goes to church, right? Has been a hypocrite a time or two, or every single day. But it is funny when somebody tells you, hey, I'm going to show you how woke I am and get social justice warriorness going on, virtue signaling to everybody, all the while, that person's not really who they are. But it makes the bottom line in their world feel a little bit better. And that they're up to, are we doing everything that's right? Not, is it right for the right reasons? Are we on the outside with people looking from that outside to the inside, checking all of the boxes? Do we look like a Bennington ad? Do we do that in a way that's real? Or is this more about the optics and than the outcome? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson shows your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from you. Biden is struggling. We talked about it. The polls are not kind at this moment. Not saying it can't turn around. And those of you out there who want Biden to fail, you're idiotic. Right? You're idiotic. If you want Biden to fail, that is not American, wanting your president to fail. In saying that, at this moment in time, things are not going the way that Biden needs them to go and that America needs them to go. And he's got stuff that he would like to get done this week, including trying to get the infrastructure bill passed. But he's got some things that people are worried about, rightly so. And they could talk about, well, hopefully this week.
We want to get these bills done ASAP. Right. I'd like to do them this week.
You'd like to do them this week, but you've got Kirsten Sinema and you've got Joe Manchin. And the question swirling around Manchin is, are you a Democrat for real?
Do you think by having a D or an I or an R is going to change who I am? I don't think the R's be any more happier with me than D's are right now. Okay? I mean, that's about as blunt as I can put it. So I don't know where in the hell I belong.
Yeah, maybe an I for independent. Maybe. And the R's would be pissed by some stuff. And they would be happy with some other stuff. Same thing with Sinema. They'd be pissed with some stuff. They'd be unhappy with some stuff. And she's raising a gank of cash. But a good portion of that is from the R's and also big business. We'll touch on that a little bit later. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Raycon's best earbuds around. Incredible earbuds. No stems. No wires. 45-day happiness guarantee. And the 3 modes, if you will. There are 3 modes when it comes to the Raycons. Yes, indeed. So, because you want to be able to listen in the right way, you got the nice noise isolating fit because you come with 6 different soft gel tips. But these fits are truly awesome. And once you get them just right, then it's up to you. What do you feel like listening to? Maybe the pure mode, great for podcasting, blues. Balance mode, podcast as well, but rock and heavy metal. Bass mode, hip hop, EDM, reggae, etc. 32-hour battery life, 8 hours of playtime. Built-in mic, take your calls on your earbuds. You hear them, they hear you. Half the price of all these other, premium brands. Raycons are incredible. Stylish, cool, no stems, no wires. Get yours now. Just for you, Chad Benson Show listener, save 15%. 15%, great Christmas presents. Amazing charging case. Gives you up to 4 full charges before you have to plug it in. BuyRaycon.com/Chad saves you 15%. They start under $70. BuyRaycon.com/Chad. BuyRaycon.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
If you like talk radio like Chad Benson likes his meals, you've come to the perfect place for takeout.
So, we've been going over, Halloween's here, all that stuff. I love it. You guys know that. I love it. And I joked the other day, because we're talking about costumes, like what can you wear and what can't you wear. One of the things, like, you can't be a Holocaust survivor, and like the number one thing was you can't be Anne Frank. Well, okay. Like, I didn't know there was a big call for that, but people ask me, like, what are your kids going as? Well, my little one, she's a deranged clown like Dad. We're going to scare people and have fun. She thinks it's great. She loves it. She's been practicing her trick-or-treating throughout the house. She's into that, right? Right? Like, and so she's super excited. She's like, this is going to be great. My son's going as some sort of demon-y thing that he's pretty pumped about with him and his friends. And they're going to go out and they're going to, bait 11-year-old boys and whatnot. But they're like, is there anything you wouldn't let him wear? And I said, well, this is what every parent should do now. You stand there and you think, 10 years from now, is my kid going to be in a picture that I took that I thought was funny and I put on Instagram or Facebook? And then somebody's going to screen capture it. And then 10 years from now, that group may be oppressed or feel that they are. And all of a sudden, I'm in trouble, and so's my child, for just wanting to have fun. And I'm not talking about dressing up like a Nazi or a Native American or anything. You just don't know. Case in point this.
A father is breaking gender barriers with his decision to let his son dress as a princess this Halloween. Paul Henson tweeted this picture of his son, Caden. He insisted on dressing as Elsa, his favorite Disney princess from the movie Frozen. Henson tweeted, "Halloween is about letting kids be their favorite characters." The tweet instantly started to trend. Caden also asked his dad to dress as Anna from Frozen, and Dad is getting fitted for the costume.
Right? Now, like, everybody's probably cheering their dad on, yeah, because you're giving your child the choice of gender, which we should all let them do. Choose the earlier the better that they choose. Fantastic. Great. That sounds normal, because I'm also very excited because I guess we should take all of our children out who would, the dad, you have tattoos. I should get some tattoos. Fantastic. You should be able to make that decision. You're 2. So would I have done this? My buddy asked me yesterday here on the local show, would you dress up? No. I tell him no. Why? Because the pitfall of what may happen in the future, first of all, as a dad, thinking you're doing the right thing, somewhere is going to bitch about it. When really, you're just doing the right thing. Maybe your kid, really wants to be Elsa and wants you to be, I'm like, can it be Olaf? Like, he's cool. No, I want you to be whatever the other one was. All right. Okay. But you've got to choose carefully. You do. Because people are looking. They're out looking. Isn't it weird? And it's funny because people say, oh, that's not true. Let me tell you something. I've been in this business long enough to know there are people that listen to radio stations and certain hosts, and all they do is look for something that can get them in trouble. And it's crazy. And by the way, it's not just talk radio. Same thing goes with, rock stations and alt stations and there are people out there that do that. Yeah. So now you magnify that in today's world, and that's what you get. 2 in 5 Americans believe in ghosts. That's right. 43% of Americans believe in demons. 41% believe in ghosts. 31% believe in other supernatural beings. Werewolves and vampires bring up the back. 18% say, not sure about demons. 39% say no. 20% say, not sure about ghosts. 39% say no. But when you go down and you look across the board, whether you're an adult that is just never graduated high school graduate all the way through, it holds right around that 40 plus to 43 plus believe in ghosts. And 20% say they've had some sort of experience with one. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet, text, Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
But you said things were going to get back to normal, that you were going to be the steadying of the ship. You said that all of this was going to happen under your watch, and lo and behold, you went and hid, and then Trump talked his way out of the presidency in the battle that became more about him versus the media than, well, the reality of the world. But if you look back, people would say, well, you know what? A year ago, yeah, it sucked. And everybody was fighting, and, the coronavirus is here, but the economy was still doing okay. Blah, 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 blah. I mean, we could just go on and on about where we were, but here we are. We've got the vaccine. People taking it, some. It's not a vaccine, you know that. They've got the shot. Right? We are in a situation where we've got rising cost of things. Some of that's the supply chain. 100%. Agree on that. You've also got rising gas prices. High taxes in some states cause prices to be through the roof. But OPEC's put a pinch. We're driving more than we could last year, because last year people were stuck at home. So you got demand, pressure for output, getting things from point A to point B, but you wanted to be the man. You wanted to be the guy. You get to be the guy. I don't want you to fail. I want you to succeed. If you don't want your president to succeed, no matter who he or she is, you are an asshat. All that being said, let's take a look at your first 10 months. Immigration, let's not even bring it up. You don't. So as far as you're concerned, it doesn't exist. Afghanistan, that was on Trump's watch, the deal he signed, which was horrible, but that's the best deal you're going to get. I think we'd all agree if you couldn't tell the country why we needed to be there, then get us out of there. The way you pulled us out was haphazard at best, deadly, and really a giant cluster. Inflation, now the number one thing, along with coronavirus. It's a tie for the things that Americans are worried about the most. You have a fractured party within your party fighting over things. One group wants to build an entitlement, really an entitlement population in a lot of ways. And the rising energy, home prices, et cetera, and then coronavirus. Yeah. It is not a good situation if you're him. Now, will he get out of this situation? Time will tell. But right now, it's tough. It is a tough thing. If you're him and you're looking around, there is a lot of hot messes out there. A lot of them. And whether or not you're to blame, you're going to get it. That's the way that this works. That's the way this has always worked. You'll get less of the praise and a majority of the blame, even if you deserve very little of the blame and more of the praise. Right now,
Our Democratic colleagues and President Biden are behind closed doors dreaming up creative new ways to grab literally historic amounts of the American people's money. Remember, the same socialist spending plans that Democrats claim cost $0 somehow also need staggering new tax hikes to pay for them. So even with significant inflation, runaway gas prices, and runaway energy costs, Washington Democrats have spent months dreaming up new cash grabs for the IRS.
Ooh. Yeah, some of that's very much very true. Because we need more taxes, because we need more stuff, and we got to pay for more things, and we got to do this, and we're trying to do all kinds of stuff, and we... How about we deal with what people are worried about? Inflation, stagflation. Now, a plurality of people in the United States believe that we are in a recession or going to be in a recession. The inflation that was supposed to be temporary may not be gone for another year plus. People are no longer worried about the coronavirus the way they were. They're worried about the coronavirus and how this is going to screw up everything as we move forward. That's what they're worried about. They're seeing the energy prices fly through the roof.
In California now, the average price of regular unleaded is $4.39 a gallon and rising. In many areas are more expensive than that. Filling up a 15-gallon tank in California costs almost $70 or more. But the average price nationwide is now $3.38 a gallon, up 6 cents in just the past week.
Those extreme prices in places like California, Nevada, and Hawaii, there is not a single state in the United States that has an average below $3 a gallon. So just one more indication how difficult this is going to be on consumers as we head towards that holiday season.
Yeah. And people are looking and going, this isn't good. This isn't good. And again, you're going to get more of the blame and less of the praise. But at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself certain questions. When you see the rising prices of things, People care about that. They're looking at their pocketbook and they're saying, this is insane. A year ago, I was paying this. Now I'm paying that. How did we get to this position where things are so much more expensive and continuing to rise on a daily basis? How is it that I have to go and when I fill up my gas tank now, instead of it being $45, it's $60 or it's $70, and people who are living on fixed incomes or living close to that line are starting to feel like, oh, this is getting out of control. Maybe we made a mistake. How that impacts this president is simple. There will be an election. Money's pouring in already. The fights are on as people jockey for positions. And when you see gas in places that is well above where it was a year and a half ago, and it's on your watch, whether or not you had anything to do with it, that is all people need to run as a billboard against the Democrats. 227, 367. You decide. First of all, you're not going to be able to do anything to change that either. But people don't care because we want somebody to blame. We do. We want some accountability. And we want to see people feel like they're doing something to change some of this. Do you really feel like that? No. I was reading an article yesterday about one of the shipping logistics people. It was a CEO of something. He went out into the port of L.A. and Long Beach, and he started tweeting about some of the nightmares that were going on and what he saw. And he got the mayor of Long Beach to essentially tweet him back, and then they started figuring out how they could change some of this stuff. I'm like, why can't you do that? Why can't you figure out some of these things? Why can't you figure out how some of this stuff works and to go, all right, you know what? Maybe we can't do this because there's probably somewhere that says we can't use the National Guard for this or we can't use the military. There's always something. How about at some point in time we take a step back and go, all right, we need to get these things moved from point A to point B. Don't bring me problems, bring me solutions. And if that means I've got to figure out a way how to deal with these unions, and if I have to play hardball, play the hardball, and get these damn containers out of here, get these things loaded up and get them out. And if that means we have to close a couple freeways at midnight to drive them out to Palm Springs, California, and put them in an empty lot for several weeks, then we do it. Don't know if that's going to get done. It's one of the big things that's holding back now isn't the fact that you can get enough off the ship potentially today, start catching up. The problem is they have nowhere to stick the containers because there's so many empty containers. It's little things. We hold politicians to a standard that is ridiculous. Let's be real. It's like our favorite athletes or our coaches. Yes, some coaches are awful. I think we can all admit that. They start to lose control. People stop listening to what they have to say. You know, it's like a couple years ago I was watching, I think it was Alex Smith when he was with Kansas City before Patrick Mahomes took over. They lost a game like 38-35. And they're like, he loses another one, Alex Smith. And I'm thinking to myself, he, being a quarterback, scored 35 points. You, being the defense, gave up 38. He doesn't play that side. You do. But that's when you want to be in those positions, you have to accept that responsibility. That people are going to blame you for stuff, and some of it, yeah, might be your fault. You did throw an untimely interception. And some of it might just be the luck of the draw. But either way, right now, this economy feels like a turd sandwich served with some Biden administration. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. It's not very nice, Chad. Being real, guys, being real. My Pillow, right now. No issues here getting stuff. Buy one, get one free. It's BOGO. It's the Giza Dream Sheets. They're delivered straight to you. Right? You buy one, you get one free. King, queen, twins, doubles, all the things you need. They've got them. All the colors. Made from long staple cotton, grown in a small area of the Mediterranean. Absolutely fantastic. You slide right into these amazing things. And I will tell you this, you will sleep amazing. You've never felt anything as incredible as these. You're never going to sleep too hot, never going to sleep too cold. 60-day money-back guarantee. Deep discounts on all MyPillow products. Go to MyPillow.com. Use the radio listener special. Benson. Save big. Buy one, get one free. Giza Dream Sheets. MyPillow.com. Promo code Benson. MyPillow.com. Promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
I'm so tired. I'm exhausted.
If you're part of the politically exhausted majority, don't fear. Your time to be validated and rejuvenated is here. Wake up. It's the Chad Benson Show.
They are under a microscope, the likes of Facebook in particular. Twitter has a big influence because people freak out and they're like, I'm going to go tweet something horrible. And it's like the version of Yelp for, people's thoughts. Because you go to Yelp, I always try, if I go somewhere and they ask me to do a survey, I'm like, it's the least I can do is, if I know it helps them out. Like, I did a survey the other day. I was in, I think it was like Safeway. It was like a little grocery store up the street here. And I went in there and the guy's like, oh, you don't have to do that. I'm like, no, man, you're really cool. I'll do it. He goes, really? Yeah. And he goes, I just, people always get annoyed and it's only when they seem pissed. And I said, that's it. It's only when they seem pissed. Because if you have a bad steak, you'll tell 10. If you have a good steak, you tell 1. So Facebook is getting pummeled right now. And, now Twitter and Snapchat and TikTok and everybody all are going to be on YouTube. They're all going to be on the Hill talking about how, hey, we're not, this is their defense. We're not Facebook, right? Facebook is the reason that everything in the world is bad.
A leak of thousands of pages of internal documents raising more questions about Facebook and whether the social media giant has fueled hate. Facebook whistleblower Frances Hogan provided redacted documents to Congress.
Facebook makes more money when you consume more content.
Hogan, who testified before Congress earlier this month, spoke in front of the British Parliament.
It fans hate, right? Anger and hate is the easiest way to grow on Facebook.
A set of documents showing that restrictions deployed by Facebook to limit potential harmful content and mitigate violence were rolled back after the 2020 election.
Yeah. Look, Facebook's a business, and Zuckerberg is as ruthless as they come. He's about winning. He is. And he walks a fine line. I understand there are certain areas where it's like everybody wants Facebook to be some sort of moral arbiter. And who gets to decide who gets to be the moralistic arbiter of stuff? That's the other thing. And, Twitter's kind of the same. Can't say this, can't do that, get banned here, get banned there. And so much of it is just, as we've talked about in the past, it's ridiculous. But I blame a lot of this on us and our addiction to it. We're addicted to these things. If I didn't have the show, people always ask, would you do Facebook and stuff? I don't, probably not. Like I have one that's like a regular one, and then I have one that is a show one. I don't even go on the regular one that much. Go on Instagram very rarely anymore. And part of the reason is it's just because I don't like the anger that so many people have either. But they're only feeding people what they're asking for. So shouldn't we ask ourselves the question, is that really all on Facebook? Because if not them, then who? Because if you're pissed and you want to see something that says Joe Biden's an awful person, or if you're pissed and you want to see funny, horrible memes about Trump and his family, and the algorithms only, or you like those things. Again, you're not looking for, but you like them. But every time they sent you either the opposite or a fuzzy kitty, and that wasn't what you're looking for, you'll go find what you're looking for. Some of this is on us as much as anything else. It is. And it does get frustrating. It does. That's why we can't have nice things. We're in a position right now where you look around and you're like, people are talking about we should secede and we could go to war. We're not going to go to war with each other. It's not happening. That's the dumbest thing. Did you see Bill Maher said this past week? He's telling liberals, stop telling the people on the right that you hate them and you want them to die. Because if we do go to war, they have all the guns, they're really good at hate, and they know how to use them. So, oh, Chad. No. I think for all the good that these things have brought us, the last 3 years, or 5 years, if we could get a do-over, I think that would help. But the reality is this stuff's going nowhere. Every day there's something new. Every day there's something else that pops up. Every day there's a new platform, a new place. There's a reason for that. It's because we want it, and the kids will get there first, and then the adults will come, and like everything that happens when the adults show up, they ruin it. For whatever reason. It either becomes uncool or it becomes a place to fight. Dave Chappelle speaks about the controversy. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
He caused the controversy that really wasn't a controversy. Can we just be honest about that? It was a controversy that was made up, and they had several people that were pissed, and Netflix, and Dave Chappelle drew the ire of many groups that really are noisy rather than big. And because of that, in the day and age, and we, being the Chad Benson Show, we don't want to toot our own horn because, we're not all that. I'm be honest with you. We're fairly, I just think we just use some common sense, but we've talked to CEOs. We've had them on the show, and they've talked about the fact that they fear more nowadays, not a downturn in the economy, not a slowdown of sales, even in a regular economy for a quarter of two. It used to be the bad press. Well, bad press is now the bad social media and the rabble-rousing that people do when it comes to getting pissed off at people. Dave Chappelle has stood up and said, I'm not going to take it. I'm not going to take it. I'm not going to sit here and listen to you guys get pissed at me and angry about me over something that I said, and I'm not going to apologize.
It's been said in the press that I was invited to speak to the transgender employees at Netflix, and I refuse. That is not true. If they had invited me, I would have accepted it, although I am confused about what we are speaking about. I said what I said, and boy, I heard what you said. Even though the media frames this that it's me versus that community. Do not blame the LGBTQ community for any of this shit. This has nothing to do with them. It's about corporate interests and what I can say and what I cannot say.
Yeah. It's always been that way. In some way, shape, or form. Every one of us feels it. It's just, the difference was, it's like anything, right? Like, do we really want to know what everybody thinks? Like, would you really want to know what everybody thinks? If we were all honest with each other all the time, I think we'd probably have no friends. It's like, I can't even hang out with me anymore. I mean, that's true. It's like the old adage, right? It's like, do I look good in this? Yeah, it's, does it taste good? We don't always want to know what everybody thinks. And just because you can doesn't mean you always should. In saying that, though, comics push boundaries. That's what they're supposed to do. It's not just about holding the powerful in check with their humor. It's also about holding society in check and saying, settle down. Dave Chappelle's The Closer was not his funniest. at all. But it was good. Some of it was great. Dave Chappelle is still arguably, at least at this moment in time, in our present time, probably the GOAT, the greatest of all time. I'm just saying as we speak today. Throw Kevin Hart out there. Daniel Tosh is brilliant. Right? There are several, but Bill Burr on the list of at this moment in time. But I think Chappelle is just at a little bit different world. He comes out, he does his thing. And again, sometimes corporations will say, you know what, could you not? Could you do? It's understandable. You're paying my paycheck. I get it. I want to be able to talk about stuff, but I also don't want to embarrass you. Where's our happy medium? But with comics, you're like, no, you go do your thing. And Netflix stood up to them. Netflix said no. But he's got a documentary he'd like to get out.
I made a whole documentary called 846, dealt with the murder of George Floyd. The film that I made was invited to every film festival in the United States, and some of those invitations I accepted. This controversy came out about the close-up. They began disinviting me from these film festivals. And now, today, not a film company, not a movie studio, not a film festival, nobody will touch this film. Thank God for Ted Sarandos and Netflix. He's the only one that didn't cancel me yet.
And that's cojones right there. To not listen to the mob get mad. Just because you're trans doesn't mean that you should be treated any different than anybody else. Am I right or am I wrong? Do you feel that you should have some sort of special treatment because you're trans? Because you're gay? Because you're black? Whatever it is. We should treat everybody the same. Isn't that what we always wanted, right? Like, isn't that the whole thing of, hey, you know what? Not about the color of skin. It's about the content of character. It's about who you are on the inside, right? This is just a meat suit, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to treat everybody the same. Somebody said, you know, if I had friends that were part of the LGBT, I said, I have tons of friends who are part of the LGBT community. And if they were upset about this, and I would say, well, why are you upset? Well, because okay. And for that, you know, the way he portrays people is wrong. So did you watch the whole thing? Well, I didn't really see any of it. Okay, so you're going by what other people are saying because you're being mad for everybody else, and because of that, you want to shut them down. Yeah. I'd look right at him and say, "Stop being a Richard. Let it go. Let it go." That's it. You can always tell the success of a culture, industry, whatever it is, by its humor. You want to shut people down because you don't like what he said. The Taliban want to shut people down and execute comics because they make fun of them. You don't want to do that, but still you'd like them to go away. I like the fact that Chappelle hasn't, because that's what a lot of groups need. No, I'm not backing down. No, I'm not going to go away. No, I'm not going to do anything that you're commanding me to do. And I go back to last week when they had that little walkout, and it was a little walkout. Let's all settle down. There was one person screaming and yelling, "You must repent." What? That's a cult. So Chappelle said, hey, you know what? Hey, I'll meet with you guys.
To the transgender community, I am more than willing to give you an audience, but you will not summon me. I am not bending to anybody's demands. And if you want to meet with me, I'd be more than willing to, but I have some conditions. First of all, you cannot come if you have not watched my special from beginning to end. You must come to a place of my choosing and a time of my choosing. And thirdly, you must admit that Hannah Gadsby is not funny.
Yeah. If you don't know who Hannah Gadsby is, Aussie person? I would say comic, but not really a comic. But then a comic, but not not everything is funny, but funnier than Dave Chappelle. Like, this is the way they're trying to like say, because Hannah Gadsby came out and, went after Chappelle and everybody else. And, I sit there and I laugh. Like, that's your defense? Look, just understand. You're not canceling this guy. You're not. And he has no reason to be canceled. Anybody shouldn't be canceled, fired, thrown out to the wolves, ostracized, whatever you want to call it, because they have a differing opinion or because you feel that there is a protected group or you're part of a protected group you think that is above reproach, should not be criticized. There can't be a conversation about anything that has to do with you outside of absolute praise. That's not real. That, too, is a cult. I love the fact that he's not backing down. I think it's great. Don't back down. Do not back down.
And you can judge for yourself, but you cannot have this conversation and exclude my voice from it. That is only fair. You have to answer the question, am I canceled or not?
Yeah. Hannah Gadsby's, it's just some of the stuff, though, like her fans came out and talked about, first of all, you go and you criticize, right? Now, she is I don't even know if I think maybe she's a lesbian, but I don't even, at this point, are you, you're a lesbian, and stuff, but because everybody gets in trouble for saying something, but she comes out and she criticizes Dave. And then when people fire back, it's hilarious. And if you've never seen, those are two words that will not go with Hannah Gadsby. Hilarious and Hannah Gadsby. If you've ever seen her stand-up, which is not meant to be funny, but is way funnier than Dave Chappelle. I don't know how people judge funny anymore. Maybe it's me. Is something wrong with our funny meter? It's possible. Oh, my Lord. I love the fact that he didn't back down. And I like the fact that Netflix didn't do it, nor should they. And this matters because every single day it creeps a little bit more into society, right? And you see that with, hey, tomorrow you guys all have to be on a Zoom meeting or you have to take all of these human resource questions and tests and stuff because they're putting things together and they want to make sure we're inclusive and all of these. I mean, this is where it's creeping in. You called Laura Larry or Larry Laura, and now we're going to have a meeting. That's it. That's why you should be a sole proprietor. Can I sue me? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Got some NFL picks. I round out my weekend game last night. Saints wins. So do I. Give you my final tally for the week, which is pretty good. And is the countdown to scary. Yes, we're counting down the 10 scariest movies. This week is the final 5. I will give you the ones I picked before this, and we'll break out number 4 today. Rough Greens makes any pet food better. It's incredible. I give it to my dogs every single day. It is a supplement. Sprinkle on top of your dog's food. Brings your dog's food to life. Vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega-3, 6, 9, all this incredible stuff. What it's done for my older dog, Doodle, is energy is through the roof. His coat is the best it's ever been, but he had bad joint pain, arthritic hips, fatty tumors. He is 1,000 times better than we ever thought he would be. It is truly amazing. Right now, Rough Greens wants you to try it before you buy it. RUFFgreens.com/Chad. Cover the cost of shipping. They're going to send you a bag absolutely free. Roughgreens.com/Chad. Simple and easy. Or call 833-MyDog-77. 833-MyDog-77. Free bag of Rough Greens for you. Cover the cost of shipping. Rough Greens makes any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
Don't let let the Washington Beltway strangle you. This is where the exhausted majority comes to refuel, realign, and reevaluate. This is Chad Benson.
So you had the horrible situation with Rust and the awful situation with Alec Baldwin and the shooting and the death of a young woman who shouldn't have died. But you had an inexperienced armorer who had no confidence and shouldn't have been in that job. And now we're finding out a assistant director that had several other issues, one of which apparently plagued another set that he was on when it came to guns and firearms. So it'll be interesting to see how this thing plays itself out. But it's a horrible situation. On a brighter side of stuff, Keanu Reeves continues to be Keanu Reeves. If you guys have not heard just a little something that gets other people have pushed out there that Keanu did not. Because that's what he does. No way. Yes, you guys killed my dog. So he gave all of the stunt people who worked on the latest John Wick brand new Submariners engraved on the back. You go for about 10 grand a pop. And there's a lot of them. Little things he does. It's why people love working with him. You treat people great, people love working with you. Right? Even if things go south, you do a little something, something. You treat people right. You watch. People will be like, well, you know what? I like working with her. Treat people bad. Even after a while, your talent will not continue to get you to a place where you're like, oh, this is going to be great. No. That's just Keanu being Keanu. I think it's amazing. We count down horror movies every single year. Because you know me, I love my horror movies. I do. Always love horror movies. This one has a special place in my heart. We should count it down. Give you the ones before. Conjuring at 10. 9 was American Werewolf in London. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 8. Amityville Horror 7. Sinister numero 6. Yesterday, coming in at 5, was Friday the 13th. And now we're on to number 4.
Welcome to Chad's Halloween countdown of the best horror movies of all time. You've already heard 10 through 6. Now it's time to hear the rest. Shall we begin? Number 4, The Exorcist.
Somewhere between science and superstition, there is another world. The world of darkness. Nobody expected it, and nothing could stop it.
There are no experts. You probably know as much about possession as most priests. Look, your daughter doesn't say she's a demon. She says she's the devil himself.
I'm telling you that thing upstairs isn't my daughter. Now, I want you to tell me that you know for a fact that there's nothing wrong with my daughter except in her mind. You tell me you know for a fact that an exorcism wouldn't do any good. You tell me that!
The one hope, the only hope, The Exorcist.
Oh, love that movie. First horror movie I saw, Bad Parenting. Fell in love with the horror movie. Based off a story about a kid that they called Roland Doe, who was in Maryland, then eventually St. Louis, went through several weeks and months of exorcism, and his account is terrifying. William Blatty took it from that, and of course, eventually The Exorcist came out of it. Linda Blair, yeah, she became pretty popular off this. Ellen Burstyn, amazing in this movie. Max von Sydow, Jason Miller, an incredible film. Easily one of the most terrifying films of all time, and still has a legacy to this day. Incredible. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. We got you through the day. We'll have number 3 for you tomorrow, as we do. Saints won last night, finished 9-4 this week. You guys have a great Tuesday. Go get a taco. Night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.